Welcome to CET Medcast, your go-to resource for medical learning. Through discussions, case studies, tutorials, and debates, we help you learn, grow, heal.
All right, today we're going to talk about the most important superhighway you use every single day, and it's the one running right inside your own body. We're diving deep into the spinal cord, that incredible network of neural pathways that makes literally every sensation and every movement possible. You know that feeling, right? You touch something hot and your hand jerks back before you even have time to think, ouch? How does that happen? Well, that simple, life-saving reflex is the perfect way to kick off our journey today. So, where does that magic happen? The secret is all in the spinal cord. And it's not just some passive cable connecting your brain to everything else. No way. It's an incredibly smart, high-speed processing center. It really is an information superhighway. So here's our game plan. First, we'll get the big picture of this superhighway. Then, we'll follow the traffic-carrying sensations up to the brain, and after that, we'll track the commands for action coming back down. We'll even check out the difference between the expressways and the local roads in this system. And finally, we'll look at what happens when this critical highway, well, breaks down. Okay, so at its very core, the spinal cord is a two-way street. It's the main pipeline sending messages from your brain out to your body, and just as importantly, from your body back up to your brain. It is a non-stop, dynamic communication network. So the traffic on this superhighway is flowing in two main directions. You've got the ascending tracts, think of these as the northbound lanes carrying all the sensory info like touch, pain, and temperature up to the brain. This is your body constantly asking, hey, what am I feeling? And then you have the descending tracts, the southbound lanes carrying motor commands from the brain down to the muscles. That's the brain answering, okay, here's what you should do about it. All right, let's jump into those ascending lanes first. How does the feeling of a coin in your hand or, the heat from that stove actually make its way to your brain to be processed? Okay, check this out. This is basically a map of the highway. And as you can see, it's not just one big road. It's neatly organized into specific lanes, what we call tracts. And each and every one is dedicated to carrying a very particular type of sensory information. This is where it gets really cool. We can literally trace the path of a specific feeling. Imagine you're feeling for your keys in your pocket. That very distinct feeling of the metal, the shape, that signal travels up a specific, super fast lane called the posterior column pathway. This is a high-fidelity connection that goes right to your brain's cortex, letting you know, yep, those are the keys, without even looking. So this particular pathway gives us our sense of really fine, detailed touch. It's what allows for something called stereognosis. I know, it's a mouthful, but it just means recognizing an object by feel. It also carries our sense of vibration and something called conscious proprioception, which is just the cool way of saying you know where your arms and legs are in space without having to look at them. And this brings us right back to where we started. That hot stove, that sharp, urgent signal of pain travels up a totally different lane, the spinothalamic tract. This pathway is built for pure speed. It's designed to flash those danger signals, like extreme heat or pain, to trigger that immediate protective reflex. So the bottom line here is that different sensations use their own dedicated lanes. This table sums it up perfectly. You've got a set of lanes for fine touch, another for pain and temperature, and even one for unconscious proprioception. That's your body's automatic sense of position that keeps you coordinated without you ever thinking about it. Okay, so the brain has the information. Now what? It needs to act on it. This is where those descending lanes come into play, carrying the motor commands down from the brain to get the muscles moving. So these descending tracts are the pathways for all of our movements, and they're broadly divided into two really critical complementary systems, the pyramidal tracts and the extrapyramidal tracts. And a fantastic way to think about these two systems is to use an analogy. The pyramidal tracts are like the direct expressways for movement. The extrapyramidal tracts, they're more like the local roads, or maybe even the car's background systems, like cruise control and traction control. This slide just lays out that division of labor perfectly. The pyramidal tracts are expressways. They come right from the conscious part of our brain. They control the movements you think about doing, like signing your name. Then you have the extrapyramidal tracts, our cruise control. They come from the brainstem, and they handle everything you don't think about, like maintaining your posture, keeping your balance, and your general muscle tone. And here we can see that main expressway in action. The corticospinal tract is the big one, the primary pyramidal pathway. It is a direct line of communication from the motor cortex, where that decision to move is made, straight down to the nerves that fire up your muscles. This is the ultimate pathway for voluntary control. But, precise movement is pretty much impossible without a good support team. So while the pyramidal system is steering the car, the extrapyramidal tracts are providing constant, unconscious adjustments. They are the essential background systems, keeping you balanced, maintaining muscle tone, and allowing you to, say, instinctively turn your head toward a sudden sound. So here's a quick recap of those descending lanes. You've got the cortical spinal tract, part of the pyramidal system, for all those skilled movements of your hands and feet. And then you have the key players of the extrapyramidal system, each handling a crucial background function, like balance, muscle tone, and coordinating your head movements. So why does all this detailed anatomy matter so much? Because the spinal cord is both incredibly powerful and honestly incredibly vulnerable. And understanding these tracks is absolutely critical when things go wrong. When this information superhighway is completely severed, the results are, well, they're devastating. Communication in both directions is just lost. This causes immediate paralysis and a complete loss of all sensation below the point of injury. It's a really stark reminder of just how vital this two-way flow of information truly is. This quote really says it all. The connection is everything. If you break that connection, you lose the function. It's a simple but incredibly profound truth about how our nervous system works. So at the very heart of every single movement you make is this constant, perfect harmony between these two systems, the conscious command and the unconscious control, working together seamlessly. So the next time you walk across a room or pick up a cup of coffee, just take a second to remember that silent symphony happening on your body's internal superhighway. It's this constant, beautiful coordination between the expressways of conscious thought and the local roads of unconscious control. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other incredible, complex systems are running in the background of your life right now?